My name's Ashley Taylor. I'm a co-founder of a project called Resource. I've been in the space since 2014, and when I originally read about the Ethereum project, immediately started thinking about adoption. What does adoption really mean? And today, I still think we're in a space where we are missing our biggest opportunity because we're not thinking about adoption. We're not thinking about what does it mean for a person who's not financial or technically minded to want to get inside the space? And therefore, the space can't grow because of that. So I think there are some implicit assumptions that we have that need adjusting. We have these assumptions that everyone wants to learn finance, that everyone's motivated primarily by money, that everyone has time to learn finance, which is the biggest one for me, and that everyone has capital to participate in finance. And I think there's some reasons why we have these assumptions. Number one, there's just a lot of money to be made in the space, right? So it's easy to get caught in that cycle of developing things for that purpose alone in the short term and not thinking about the long term. It's also the rational economic basis that we have inherited from the past, which is, oh, people are rational actors, right? So they'll do what's rational. They'll come participate in the space and earn currency. And we're motivated ourselves. We're part of the space. We're the ones here. So we're assuming that everyone else is like us. So why should we address these assumptions? Because our target audience is really limited. It's limited by the types of people that think in this way, which we know is not most of the people in the world. And so DeFi and crypto, the space really can't grow until we start to address our assumptions about our target audience. So I think that what crypto thinks about accessibility today, if we really think about what that means, we have, okay, someone holds crypto as an investment that their friend told them about. We have even fewer people that hold any crypto that's not on a centralized exchange. So if you're launching a project and you're thinking about growth and it's only on a DEX, which is fine, you have to understand that the usability of a DEX is so complicated these days that there's no way for your audience to grow without starting to address some of the fundamental usability and accessibility there. And so what that really means is there's not a lot of opportunity today for someone who's not financial or technically minded to really participate and build wealth, which again, I think is really important to understand because the whole point of the blockchain space in the first place was about decentralization of wealth and access, and I think we're doing a pretty bad job. I think that I put computer here because we have things like Axie Infinity now, which I think are some of the best examples, but it's still limited to a very a particular type of audience. We need to expand those models more. So right now, we can say, what is the audience of people that can participate in crypto in terms of an accessibility mindset? So what's the reality of this? Not everybody wants to learn finance. Not everybody wanted to go work on Wall Street. Not everybody wants to come work on DeFi. That's fine. They're motivated by things other than money, and that's also fine. Finance can start to serve people who want to do things with their life that are different, and that's what we should be doing as a space. So here's just some ideas around shifting our mindset, where value creation is the result of new economic activity that we're creating with protocols. It's not the means. So here's an example of developing a platform for issuing a custom NFT of a record. That's what we've seen so far. Versus building a platform for communities who can actually bootstrap their own record labels. Or what about a platform for selling custom NFTs? Versus developing a platform where you're connecting NFT developers to communities who don't know how to get into the space to help create new business models. And platforms that address people who don't actually have any extra cash or time today and introduce them to crypto. So now I'll take a second and talk about my own project. So Resource is a way that small business owners currently in the US can grow their business without using any money. So it's basically a marketplace where once you join, you'll get customers that come and buy from you, and they're going to pay you in resource dollars, which are different than US dollars. And the reason that a business would want to join is because with those resource dollars, they can buy things that they were usually spending their US dollars on, which means they now have more US dollars. And we actually have testimonials and stories of how small businesses are starting to grow their business because they're saving their US dollars and being able to spend them on things like rent for a bigger space. We're currently live in Asheville, Austin, Los Angeles, and we're basically building this as a protocol where anybody could launch this type of a marketplace in their own community. And what's important is they don't need any existing fiat to get started. So the way that it works is you apply, you offer your products and services, you earn the resource dollars, and then you can eventually start becoming a stakeholder and earning the underlying cryptocurrency of our network. So what are some other ideas about how we can move beyond thinking about just DeFi natives? So I think for every protocol, every project in the space, investing in education, but investing that education in someone who you're not targeting as someone who's going to become a DeFi native. Figure out other ways that people can participate in your protocol that aren't about them participating in the financial back-end side of the space. When you're developing learn-to-earn challenges, what else could people be learning about that's not necessarily about them participating as a staker in the back end? What else could they be doing to help grow the protocol and the ecosystem? So an example of this for us, we have a role called an ambassador. So an ambassador is someone who brings businesses to a resource network or a network launched on resource. That's a real world activity. They don't have to know about crypto. They're just saying, oh, this is the best restaurant in my community. I want them to be part of it. They onboard them, and when they do that, they start to earn Source Token, which is our underlying cryptocurrency. So that's a way that someone who is participating in building the crypto ecosystem and isn't doing it from a computer screen and staking. And I think that these types of models are super important to start to experiment with, and I also think it's how the space will grow. So some key principles if you're applying these blockchain incentives to non-finance people, because the most key exciting principle of blockchain, I think, is the ability to incentivize things like decentralization of wealth. So look at a target audience and what's their primary motivation beyond money? Like, what's the musician's primary motivation? They want to be on stage and share their art and build a community around their art and be able to do that for a living. And so I think that thinking about how a protocol can incentivize these primary motivations in each industry are really the next frontier of where we can go with the space. And then you, as a crypto economic designer, can be the one who really empathically understands what are these motivations and then design incentives that empower that. So some takeaways. Let's stop competing for the same limited user base. And let's think longer term about growing the space and, of course, the market. And recognize these implicit biases in our own protocols and our own tokenomics and shift them. And so for last, we are starting a winter-proof alliance, which is basically for projects that want to integrate more in the real world. We're hosting the first event tonight with MakerDAO and Centrifuge and Teller Finance. So you can find that on our Twitter page, resource_fi, or you can also ask me about it. And that's my email, and yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for listening.